we gonna move on. We're moving on to react to Chelsea. Again, this time they have completed the signing with João Félix, which is finally gonna allow Conor Gallagher to go the other way. He's gonna be flying back to Madrid. He probably has already as we spoke, and he's gonna become an Atletico Madrid player. He's gonna become an Atletico. He's gonna become an Atletico Madrid player. By the way, funny thing about Conor Gallagher is during during the match against City, Chelsea fans were chanting Conor Gallagher 20 minutes into the game, which shows the unrest that Chelsea fans have had over the treatment of not only of Conor Gallagher, but also the treatment of Trevor Chalobah, two players that have given everything for the club in terms of coming up the youth ranks, coming up the youth ranks, giving their all for the team, being one of their more consistent performers over the past few seasons, both being essentially kicked out of Chelsea because of the fact that they came up the youth ranks and they're looked at as pure profit from this new ownership group, which I it's not just this ownership group. I think this is something Chelsea have been under the last ownership group as well, to a certain extent. But yeah, it's very interesting how Chelsea have done business. I look at this João Félix signing and I basically look at, they try to get a deal done for a player that scored 8 goals, I believe, or something, a ridiculously low number. Not 8 goals, probably something. Let me see. Samu Omorodian scored 8 goals. Yeah, scored 8 goals in 34 matches for Alaves, on loan at Alaves this past season. In 34 matches, scored 8 goals. They're trying to sign him originally. That deal, for some reason, doesn't get through. We still don't have exactly the details on why that deal hasn't gone through, why it was collapsed. It was set to. I heard there was conflicting reports. One said contractual issues, but who knows? Whatever. That deal did not go through in the later stages, and it put Atletico Madrid in a desperate situation because they had to get that deal done. They needed the money coming in for that deal to be able to sign Conor Gallagher. To be able to sign Conor Gallagher, they needed the money for that to get through. That did not happen. So hence they despite having Conor Gallagher in Madrid, done the medical and all that, they couldn't put it pen to paper. Which put Atletico in a desperate situation. So they offered Chelsea Conor Gallagher. They offered Chelsea João Félix to make this happen, and Chelsea were like, "Oh, you don't want him? Yeah, okay, we'll take him. I guess we'll take him." Which is, I don't think that's how a proper club should run their club. They should go after the players that they want, not the players that have been offered to them. From the way it's played out, that's essentially what it seemed like, and it's really devastating for a club like Chelsea. That's really very, very devastating for a club like Chelsea. That's not how a club like Chelsea should behave, in my opinion. That should not be the transfer policy for Chelsea. They shouldn't be buying players just so they can offload someone else. And that's essentially what they're doing. And again, they look at Conor Gallagher as a pure profit. But if you're having to sign a player that you originally did not want to make this happen, well, that's not really pure profit then. That's not a pure profit. You know what I mean? It's really weird. And again, you're bringing in a João Félix who you had on loan about a year ago now, you had him on loan, or a year and a half ago, you had him on loan, you had a good look at him, and you decided to not sign him permanently. Now suddenly you want him back. And it's a player that comes in and he's kind of doesn't solve the issue that Chelsea has. He's another good player, good technical player, has his gifts, but doesn't have that knack of scoring goals, and that's what Chelsea need in terms of if there's any players that they need in terms of attacking position, it's a player that can get the ball into the back of the net. Now, João Félix, he can play on the ball with time and space compressed. He's very, very technically gifted, but he's not a player that scores 25 goals for you. He does not have that sort of ability, and he plays in a position that's going to make it even more tricky to Enzo Maresca to fit him in, because you already have Nkunku, who plays very, very similar position to him, very similar profile in terms of a player like him. Now, Nkunku is a little bit more of a threat to score a goal than João Félix. I think João Félix is a little bit more technical, while Nkunku is a little bit more of a direct player, a little bit more of an athletic player, while João Félix is a little bit more silky and technical. But, in terms of the role that they play, very similar role, very similar play style, similar profile, similar places on the pitch that they want to play. And Nkunku is essentially a new signing for Chelsea in the fact that he barely played last season. So having to now fit him and João Félix and Pedro Neto, and you can't forget about Cole Palmer, and and then you have Nicholas Jackson, who's playing the striker position. Then you got a guy like Pedro Neto, that's another new signing that can be someone that's going to get into that 11. And then you also have guys like $100 million like Mikhailo Mudryk, $100 million player Mikhailo Mudryk. You have a player like Raheem Sterling that didn't even get in the squad today. So he wasn't even in the squad today. You have this overbloated squad. It raises more questions than to be asked. Gary Neville, he put it in a very smart way what he said. Gary Neville, what does this Chelsea ownership group know that all the other big clubs don't know? These Real Madrids, that's a crazy thing to say. Second, the Real Madrids, the Manchester Uniteds, the Arsenals, the Liverpools, the Barcelonas, the Bayern Munich, all these big clubs in the world. What does Chelsea know that allows them to spend the amount of players that they have throughout the squad and give all these long contracts as a way to ease out the fees that they're being spread out? What do these Chelsea owners know that these other top owners or these other top football operations that run the football operations of these top clubs, what do they know that the others don't? And what, as Chelsea fans, what makes us, based on what they've done so far to our club, what makes us trust them? Now, you already see a little bit of the unrest between what happened with Conor Gallagher and what happened at Conor Gallagher and what's happening to Trevor Chalobah. But I'll tell you what, Chelsea ownership, this new Chelsea ownership, they're in it for a rude awakening, because the unrest is only going to continue if Chelsea fans don't see reasonable results this season that give us some sort of optimism going forward. The protests are going to start. There's going to be a serious unrest, and Chelsea fans will be demanding answers and will be demanding owners being out. They will start the protest that you've seen at Manchester United over the past few years. It'll only get worse from here. That 20 minutes into the season, that Chelsea fans chanting Conor Gallagher's name is only the start of the results don't come for Chelsea. Now they can hide all the mistakes that they made. This ownership group of some of these players can finally play to their potential. I'm talking about the likes of Enzo, likes of Caicedo, likes of Mikhailo Mudryk. These sort of players, if they can perform to the level that they're supposed to perform at, a lot of this can be looked over. But if the results don't start coming, if these players don't start developing into players that that they were paid to be, I can see some major unrest. And Conor Gallagher being sent the other way real quick. Perfect addition for Atletico Madrid. Getting that worksman-like midfielder in there that can go in, do the job. Technically enough to play in that midfield. Also has the work rate. Can give you flexibility. Play as a 10, an 8, even a 6. Perfect player for Diego Simeone. He's fluid. He's flexible. I think Simeone loves that about him. Loves the work rate he puts in. I think that's a perfect signing. And him going in with... Leon Alvarez, I think makes them a very good team. I know that they drew with Villarreal 2-2, disappointing results, but don't sleep on Atletico Madrid.